The book we're diving into today begins with what you might call a quiet crime. We're exploring The Long View by Richard Fisher. And really, The Long View asks a fundamental question. What exactly is your constant hurry hiding? Now, The Long View doesn't flatter our modern ambition. It actually names the theft hidden right inside our short-sightedness. Richard Fisher gives us a pretty hard lens for a very soft age. He isn't here selling you calm. No, he's exposing the hidden misdirection of modern speed. I know so many of us, myself absolutely included, have operated under this belief that if we just keep moving, if we just keep busy, direction will eventually emerge on its own. I really wish this weren't true, but look at where it actually leads us. A life can be completely full of motion and still entirely lack architecture. You can have all this urgency, but what if it's just directionlessness with heat? That's the first real cut here. So here's the central problem we're facing. Your habit, our collective habit, is chasing near signals. We've all been taught that the ultimate enemy is delay, right? But this explainer suggests something else entirely. The real enemy is scale blindness. And the insidious thing is, scale blindness looks incredibly productive from the outside. You know, the feeling, your inbox is perfectly at zero, your schedule is packed, your face is tight, you are getting things done. But the future? The future gets absolutely no vote in that scenario. As it turns out, intelligence actually degrades under a poor sense of scale. A short horizon makes even the smartest people clumsy. We can call this outsourced direction. It's basically letting your notifications, external praise, deadlines, or even just plain fear choose the very next unit of your life. It creates this kind of temporal amnesia, where the immediate next demand completely erases any far-off consequence. Now, I want you to actually think of a specific moment, a time when you filled up your calendar just to avoid making a real choice. Just hold that memory in your mind for a second. Got it? Now, place this new lens right over that memory. Ask yourself, what future did you make impossible that day? There is a realization here that goes, you are not busy, you are unbuilt. That line should bruise a little bit. It's meant to, because directionless people often look incredibly disciplined, don't they? They arrive early, they answer emails faster than anyone else, but they might just be polishing the wrong room. What we so often call a crowded, disciplined duty is in reality just an elegant drift. It's a defensive structure we put up against the terrifying void of simply not knowing what it is we're actually building. Over time, these daily habits build into two very distinct paradigms, the short mind and the long mind. The short mind is always asking, what can I finish this week? But the long mind asks, what structure can I build that will carry weight long after I'm gone? One treats time like a narrow hallway you're frantically rushing down. The other treats time as a raw material, something you actually build with. The first one gives you that immediate hit of relief. The second gives you lasting direction. Both of these are incredibly powerful pulls, but at their core, they're really just symptoms of the exact same misunderstanding of what time actually is. I'm not entirely sure where this leaves us right now. Let's just sit with it for a moment. Name the future person your week is currently betraying. Richard Fisher keeps widening the scope on us here. See, we tend to think of the future as this empty, hazy fog, but it's not. It's an occupied room, filled with actual bodies. People who will need air, trust, memory, and laws. They are going to inherit our daily shortcuts as their weather. Your choices right now are literally crowded with the unborn. And because they can't speak up, your current, immediate appetite is doing all the speaking for them. Think about what you could call the load path of a decision. In physical architecture, a building doesn't fail where the architect's pride is focused. It fails exactly where the load finds a weakness. When you make a choice, any choice, you are transferring stress across time. It moves from your present action right into the next decade, into the next generation, all the way down to a foundation stone sitting in the year 2124. This is what we mean by intergenerational stakeholding. It's treating future lives as moral, present occupants of the decisions you are making today. So here is how this architecture of consequence actually gets built. A flaw always begins as an invisible compromise, something tiny. Then, through your repeated preference for the easy way out, it solidifies into a hardened structure, and finally it becomes a transferred load. Time literally gives that invisible compromise a physical body. Think about a specific moment in your own life when you postponed a hard repair just because the crack was quiet at the time. You know the one? Now ask yourself, who ultimately inherited that crack? It might have been your team, maybe a child, or simply your own older body, just waiting there with all those quiet invoices coming due. And here's where we hit the real turn in this explainer. You don't get to the long view by simply deciding you like the future. You get there by fundamentally altering your proof of progress. See, short proof says, hey, I felt progress today. I was busy. But long proof says the structure grew stronger. Short proof flatters your motion. Long proof actually tests the load. That old model of working sought intensity and heat, but the refined model, it seeks consequence. One burns really bright for a moment, while the other leaves a lasting, unshakable form. What happens when we constantly rely on that short proof? We accumulate what's called option debt. This is a massive, hidden liability created the moment short-term relief destroys your future range of movement. And the cost isn't just one bad choice in a vacuum. The true cost is a nervous system that is literally trained to kneel to the immediate. That outsourced direction we talked about earlier, it turns repeated short-term choices into your biological default setting. You aren't just choosing badly in one isolated moment. You are actively training the chooser. You are trading away your future range for immediate, cheap relief today. We absolutely have to confront this idea of the defensive calendar. Look, your calendar is not a compass. You do not need a fuller week. What you need is a load path. You have to start naming the specific decisions that must hold weight, name the exact habit that's weakening them, and be brave enough to name the future person who ultimately pays the price. Then, go in and cut just one false task. Just one. Before you offer a yes, ask yourself what it teaches. And before you offer a no, ask what it preserves. I want you to picture a foundation stone, deeply carved with the year 2124. Rain is gathering in those carved numbers. There's no crowd watching. Absolutely no applause is arriving for this. But a builder kneels down anyway. They align that first course of stone. They know full well they will never live to see the finished door. But still, their hand must be true. This is our anchor right here. It's an instruction manual on how to work under incomplete reward. It's about finally letting your own internal standards outrank external applause. The long view is not about delay. It's about aim. It absolutely does not make your daily action vague. It makes your action answerable. You stop asking if this current moment feels large or important, and you start asking if this moment joins to the structure you're building. Returning to your immediate hour with a slightly heavier soul and much better internal laws makes you so much harder to purchase by all these false manufactured emergencies. You still answer the living hour. Of course you do. You just simply refuse to betray the years that stand behind it. To really make this stick, continue the internal transformation at upgowise.com. Use this explainer as a doorway into a much longer discipline. Before you do anything else tomorrow morning, you must alter your temporal architecture. Look closely at your decisions and forcibly remove one reaction that only serves the short mind. Because if you don't do that, you've consciously chosen to stay exactly where you are right now.
Distance is the nearest discipline.